All right, everybody, welcome to episode 29 of the Different Animals podcast. It's your boy Tyler.
And I'm Ever Castro.
And today we're going to be talking about what we've been watching, the NBA draft, some of the NBA activity around the free agency starting, and then just because by the time this comes out, we'll be in December, we're going to talk about our favorite Christmas movies. But first, all right, so let's talk about what we've been watching.
Yeah. So for me, if I sound a little different or anything, if there's like a little bit of echo or something, it's because I'm not in my usual setup. But hopefully by next week I should be back to normal. But anyway, this week I finished up playing Rise of the Tomb Raider, which is the sequel to the reboot Tomb Raider, which I think came out in 2013. I think this one came out in 2015. And it was okay. I finished it up. It's I don't really have much to say about it. It's sort of like just an enjoyable shoot 'em up. The story, I don't remember any of it. And it's half open world, half like pretty straightforward action, like point A to point B. But you can explore the world and do little side quests and pick up things and whatever. But it was okay, which was a little disappointing because when I first played the reboot, I loved it. Like I remember playing it that summer whenever it came out. And I was like, holy shit, like, this is fucking awesome. Like, this is such a great reboot. But then again, I hadn't played, like, the Uncharted games, which I feel like this takes a good bit from, like, the climbing and even the gunplay. So,
Right.
so if you have a chance to play it, it's okay. It's just a pretty straightforward action here. But if you haven't played the reboot, the first one, just the straight up, the Origin Tomb Raider one, I definitely recommend that one. I haven't replayed it in a while, so maybe it's not as good as I remembered it. But I remember being fucking blown away by it, and I love the set pieces. But then again, like I said, I hadn't played Uncharted then, so maybe I was just kind of like, I hadn't seen the good stuff, that it was
You hadn't been
basing
to
it
the
off.
mountaintop.
Exactly, yeah. I had the Great Value cookies. I hadn't had the actual Oreos.
Right.
Yeah,
I haven't played any of the Tomb Raider games. I remember hearing good things about the first one. I didn't actually hear much about the second one, so that is
yeah,
probably indicative of.
yeah. Just like the splash made. And I think the last one is called like Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and I didn't hear shit about that one.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, I definitely, like I said, I heard good things about the first one, but
Hmm.
that's really it. Um,
Yeah.
is,
So yeah.
so that's what you've been playing and you finished
Yes.
it, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So but I usually don't like if it's not something that I'm playing like The Last of Us 2 or something that really grabs my attention, like the Spider-Man game I was playing a couple weeks ago, or I guess at this point a couple months ago. I just kind of played a little bit each day and sort of chip away at it. So this one, I
Right.
think it ended up taking like a month, but only because there were some days that I was like, when I was playing Spider-Man, I was like, oh shit, like I can't wait to get off work so I can play like an hour or two of Spider-Man. Fuck yeah, let's
Right.
go. But this was kind of like, oh, today I gotta go do this, and I'm just gonna do that, and I'll play Tomb Raider tomorrow or whatever, what have you.
Right.
And so that's what I've been playing, and I finished that up. And I think next, I'm finally getting to Horizon New Dawn, which I got when I bought my PS4, and I've just been putting it off just because I know. Have you played it?
Rubs hands like Birdman. Bro,
Uh,
that game is so good.
I'm
Um,
excited. Yeah, I'm excited, and it's like an RPG, right? Which so I sort of assumed that it was huge. Is it like takes
it's
hours and hours?
um it can be pretty expansive. I think you could probably. So like, the thing with any open world game, so like
Mm,
Skyrim is like the biggest, like one of the biggest, right?
yeah.
You can just blow through the main story
Hmm.
pretty quick if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
Like the main storyline.
Yes.
And people will fight me and say that there's like, oh, there's no like you never beat Skyrim. Suck my dick. Like there's a clear main storyline and you finish it, so you've beaten it. And
Yeah.
now there's all this extracurricular stuff you can do, which is fine, but you still beat it. And by the way, Skyrim, the worst main storyline of any of those games. Which is why I don't understand why, like, for some reason they've remade it like 55 times.
Hmm.
But anyways, back to Horizon.
Yeah.
I think you could probably blow through the main section of story pretty quick, but
Hmm.
um, I do think there's just a lot of like the environment's like super good looking, and there's just like a lot of little variables, I guess,
Yes.
like to just like really explore and just have fun with. I do. We definitely talked about this briefly because I remember telling you a specific thing
Hmm.
that about the beginning of the game, and I'm not gonna tell you, and I'm gonna see if once you start it, you remember what I'm talking about.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
I should start it sometime this week. But I've just been putting it off because I was like, I know this thing's gonna take me like forever. I might even end up playing 2 months. I'd rather get these little ticky tacky like that shitty Call of Duty game we talked about last week, or even Spider Man, which I know is
which I
open
now
world.
own.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I have a game sharing thing with another friend of ours, and so he was like, I wanted it, and so he got it, and so now I have it. But so I'm not super thrilled, but I'm
uh,
probably still gonna end up playing it.
yeah. And so yeah, so I was like, I know this is gonna take forever, so I'm just gonna hold it off and just wait until I have nothing else, and then just start that and give it like full, like not feel like, oh my gosh, you're not gonna finish this quickly because I have like 3 or 4 or 5 games after this. It's like no, just straight up, just like this one and only this one for the next 2 months.
Yeah, I remember it being very good. I never played the DLC. I like the version of the game I bought had the DLC with it, and I just for some reason like once I finished, I was like, you know what it is? I think DLC like that probably works really well if you play the game when it comes out and
Hmm.
then are the type of person that's willing to go back to it. Because my problem is like I played the game well after it had already came out. Like I said,
Hmm.
I had the like Game of the Year version that has the DLC with it.
Yeah.
So like I finished the game and I feel like obviously when you finish a game they want it to feel mostly wrapped up. You know what I
Right.
mean? They're like this is like nice and neat and packaged.
Yeah.
And so like and also if you're playing through the main storyline like there's always in any story there's going to be like a you're going to like kind of grow and then you have this giant climax and then just like a little wind down
Yeah.
and then like after the wind down I don't want to go jump into some other like
Half
random
baked
bullshit
one.
that
Right.
right so like it's and the thing is the DLC might be great. There are DLCs that don't feel half baked that feel like legitimate expansions but like
Did
jumping into it
you
right after you gave me the climax and the wind down. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it just doesn't feel right.
did you play the Last of Us one, the first Last of Us downloadable content?
I did
Yeah.
not. I did
So
not.
it's I liked it because, like you said, it's not a separate story. It's not like a little mini new game. It's like a two. It's a half and half game. So like half of it is like you are playing as Ellie. You play as Ellie the whole thing,
Hmm.
and you play the first like half of it as Ellie when she was like right before she met Joel, and she was like with a friend in a mall, in an empty mall, and
Hmm.
you sort of get to see her as a kid, like as an actual child. And then the other half is when Joel gets hurt and he falls like on some rebar, and she has to get penicillin for him.
Hmm.
And I think in the game she's just like, "Here, I found it," and then I found the penicillin. And then in this one, you see her go to like some sort of, actually think it's another mall too, but it's like an empty one, and she
Right.
finds penicillin, but there's like motherfuckers there. She has to kill, right? So it's a short. It's
Right.
like I think it ended up taking me about 2 hours for the whole thing, but it is a nice thing because then it fills in the cracks, before we met her as a child with this girl who I think she has a crush on, and then also you see her as in the story. It fills in that little extra mission in the story.
Right.
So it's like kind of like how it feels like they sliced out a little chunk that maybe was probably slowing things down, and then maybe sliced out something that they always wanted to do but didn't know where to fit, and then just made it into a DLC.
Yeah, and it's weird because that's always like a love hate thing. Well, mostly hate for a lot of people, but like when you cut something and you leave it on the cutting room floor, and then you're
Hmm.
like, oh, we'll charge you for this later. Like people will get like super upset about that. It's like, well, you could have just fucking left it in, and I could have had it for the same price because you already made it. You know what I
True.
mean?
True.
So
True.
it's
True.
like, and
Yeah.
and this, there was a there's a recent leak of like Capcom's upcoming releases,
Hmm.
and Street Fighter's like their cash cow, one of their cash cows, and like Street Fighter 6 is supposed to come out in like 2021 or 2022. Like, and then it's like Super Street Fighter 6 in 2023, and then Ultra Street Fighter 6 in 2024. And it's like, bro, you already have it planned out. Like, and the thing is, they've done it since like Street Fighter 2. They've had like Street Fighter, Super Street Fighter, Turbo Street. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they've done it over. But for some reason, just like seeing it planned out like that just feels so much worse. Like,
Yeah, it's
like
like,
at
you
least
know,
before you could be like, it's a spur of the moment. Like, we decided we have more content we want to add. But it's like, nah, you already planned on this. Like,
yeah, you built in, you could have easily squeezed them both into one.
right. But you're like, nah, I'm gonna just keep releasing these. Because the thing is those for those you can, if you buy regular Street Fighter, you can like use DLC to upgrade to Super Street Fighter. But
Yeah.
they also sell Super Street Fighter as a new $70 title. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just like they in Ultra Street Fighter a year later will be a new $70 title. So it just feels disrespectful. But as far as the DLC thing goes, sometimes they're like really well done, and other times they just kind of feel like a money grab.
Yep.
And I never played Horizon, so it may be good. But like I said, just the way the story like goes, like right after you finish the main storyline, you're not like, all right, I'm ready to go jump into something new. You know what I mean? Like it's deliberately designed to feel like a closure. You know what I mean? Like this is a fun, ending, and then it's like, but here you go, and it's like, well, I don't want to do that now because I just had an ending.
Yeah, it's like, I just saw the credits. Why would I want like a little, like, I don't know, like a boosh of just like half flavor thing? And it's funny because I actually, when I finished the Rise of the Tomb Raider, there was one in the main menu that was like, a couple of missions, Laura's mansion or something like that, which I guess were the DLC. I literally was like, I looked at it and I was like, I don't want to play this shit. I just turned it off. I was like, I don't
I'm
give
good
a
on that.
shit.
Peace
I
out.
finished the game. I got my credits, which is what I always want, and I'm done.
Like you got in Arkham Knight.
I still didn't get them. Still didn't get them.
And I will never get them as long as
Yeah.
the only way I'm getting them is I look them up on YouTube.
Exactly. I think I am gonna have to do that. See the Nightfall Protocol or whatever. And so that's what I've been playing. And then so what I've been watching is I watched the show Ted Lasso, on Apple TV Plus.
What is
so
that?
So that's Apple's streaming service. They don't have that much stuff on it. They have, I think there's like a show with Steve Carell and Jennifer Aniston called The Morning News or The Morning Times. They have a show with Jason Momoa and a couple of other smaller shows that didn't quite make a splash. But this is the show that I've seen the most people talk about on Twitter and stuff. And it's been their sort of buzziest one that I've seen. And it is created by Jason Sudeikis. He stars in it as well.
Okay.
As Ted Lasso. He's a football coach who gets hired by an English Premier League and to coach their soccer team. And so, but yeah, it's actually based off of these old NBC Sports commercials back when they would show Premier games on NBC Sports. They did these little skits where Ted Lasso was a football coach, and he's like, "Oh, we're gonna give them all we got in the next 4 quarters." And he's like, "2 halves," and he's like, "Oh, okay." And so basically, they took this little concept from the commercials that they used to have, and then just made it into a full TV show.
Okay. And I feel like Jason Sudeikis could fill that role perfectly.
Yes. And I was just gonna say, is that the show itself is fantastic. I watched the first 4 episodes, and then I told my girlfriend, I was like, hey, look, you need to watch these, catch up while I'm playing whatever, and then we can watch them together. And we finished up the whole season since we last recorded, so like in a week. But it's only 10 episodes, half hour each, so you can blow through it pretty quickly. And actually, I personally don't have Apple TV Plus, but one of my friends does, and I've seen nothing. People do nothing but praise this show. So I was like, dude, I need to borrow it. I need to watch it because I keep seeing people talk about it, and like I just need to, see what people are talking about. And Sydney and I loved it. We both loved it. We finished it up, I think, a day or 2 ago, and it's fantastic. And you're right, Jason Sudeikis is fantastic. He's so good in it, and it gives me great Parks and Rec vibes without that sort of slight, how can I say, like, not mean streak, because Parks and Rec was never mean, but it did have a bite toward sort of the simpletons, or maybe even the people who sort of bend or use local politics to hurt people or get their ways.
Yeah.
And this doesn't really have any of that. It's just kind of like just the sweet part, the sincere part. Everybody sort of just acts in the best interest of people, which is nice. It's a nice little refresher from other comedy shows that maybe, or one that I'm going to mention in a little bit. But yes, I mean, dude, it's so sweet, it's so fantastic, and Jason Sudeikis kills it. I would not be surprised if he gets the Emmy for best actor in a comedy series, next September. But yeah, like if you have Apple TV Plus, um, definitely watch it. I think if you have bought an Apple product, I want to say since it launched, I think it launched maybe 6 or 7 months ago, maybe a little bit more. So if you have bought an Apple product since then, in the last time, you have a year long subscription to this service,
Okay.
that comes built in. So I watch it, like literally like opt into your subscription for it and watch the show because it's fantastic. And they already ordered season 2 and season 3. So they went ahead and
Damn.
got orders for both seasons.
Okay. It's funny that you mentioned like how it doesn't you mentioned like Parks and Rec doesn't really have a mean streak, but it definitely like points out specific people and is like
Hmm.
or like specific stereotypes of people.
Yeah.
Um and like you were like Ted Lasso doesn't have that. When I looked up Ted Lasso, like the top three articles was like wholesome soccer comedy, and the other one says the key to Ted Lasso is its sincerity. So
Yeah.
it seems like it's just like, which is weird because it's not what I imagine Jason Sudeikis for. Like when
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think of Jason Sudeikis, I think of like smart aleck, like dickheady
Like the
comedy.
We're the Millers character. Yeah.
Right, right, and
Yeah.
it's funny because that was on Comedy Central like an hour ago. Because that's all that's ever on Comedy Central is We're the Millers.
And
Um,
I think that if you watch the shorts, the commercial bits that this is based on,
hmm
you can sort of tell a little bit that that's sort of what they were going for that. And for the
hmm
show, they definitely fixed it, or at least changed it, made a conscious decision to not make him maybe as smart alecky as he appears in those commercials.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, God, that's
Yeah, but I
that's
see it's hard because like I don't know if I would say get Apple TV Plus because
right.
it's literally I think I've only really heard this show is being fantastic and not much else. So if you buy an
So,
Apple product for whatever reason, I recommend it. But I don't know, it's kind of hard because for anything else, for HBO Max, for Netflix, for Hulu, I can say hey get Hulu for this, get Hulu for Rami, get HBO Max for Harley Quinn. But then you have this fucking archive and libraries that are just massive of shows and movies. And Apple TV Plus, I don't know what their movie base is like or portfolios like, but I know their show one isn't that great yet. This is their best one, but I don't know if it's worth it.
right. And I wonder if maybe Apple Plus offers a 2 week.
I think it does. I think it does.
I'm in
You're
there.
right. You're right. You're right.
I'm like fucking Jordan Peele and Keegan Michael Key and
Oh
the
yeah.
Skims. Like, I'm in there.
I'm in there.
I'm in
I'm in there. Apple TV Plus. Apple TV Plus. But I think dude. I didn't even think about it until you mentioned it. I actually really do think they have that thing. Of course you have to cancel it. Set an alarm. But
there.
I'm like 85% sure that they have a free trial thingy.
All right, a monthly subscription is just $4.99 per month after a free 7 day trial, baby.
There you
Let's
go.
go.
7, dude. Dude, yeah, dude. If you can like be
Fucking
like, all
start it
right,
on a Friday night and try and binge that shit through the weekend and then
yes,
cancel it Monday morning, bro.
yeah, yeah,
Oh
definitely,
god.
yeah,
All right, so that'll be the plan.
yeah. So
One.
I have one more sort of little note, but what have you been watching? And then I'll give mine right before we move on.
Okay, so what I've been watching is an anime, and I've been watching it off of my Funimation account, which is not
Mm.
my Funimation account, but a friend's Funimation account. Shout out to you bumming Apple Plus and me bumming Funimation off somebody.
Mm-hmm.
But Funimation just has a lot of different anime on their account. And I'd heard about this one. I remember when it originally came out. I read like a. I didn't even. It was a brief synopsis, and I didn't even read the whole thing. Like I got maybe 2 sentences of what this thing was about, and I was like, "Why would people watch this?" And so like I didn't. And then the other day, like so my son watches cartoons, so like Cartoon
Mm.
Network will be on, and of course, as the day gets later, it's either like Toonami or Adult Swim, right? And
Yeah.
Toonami shows like anime because it used to be what showed like the Dragon Ball Z and all that, like Gundam Wing, all that. And this anime was on Toonami, and I was like, is it really that popular? Because like that seems insane to me. So
Mm.
I looked it up, and it's called Fire Force. And so it's funny because basically all I knew was that it was about firefighters, but I
Mm.
knew there had to be something else because you're not going to do a whole anime just about like regular ass firefighters.
Right.
So I was like, something else is going on, but it's still about firefighters. It's weird. So I finally started it. So the generic basis, and I don't this. You learn this in the first episode, so I'm not going to call it a spoiler. It's not even like a revelation. It's just like the point of it is that there are firefighters, and people all of a sudden, people have just been spontaneously combusting into what they call infernals, which are just like fire monsters. So
Mm.
like one of them is like this person's wife while they were at home just combusted into a fire monster out of nowhere. He got out, the monster was setting the house on fire, and they send this fire force to go take care of it. So they're legitimately firefighters because it's like a building's burning down,
Mm-hmm.
but they also have to stop what they call the infernal, which is the person that combusted, by destroying the core, which is basically where their heart is. Um, and there's like a religious aspect to it. Like there's one person that says like a prayer as they do it, since they're technically like killing a person. Um, I was like kind of bored with it, like 2 episodes in, right? But the thing was, I was like, obviously it's 2 episodes, and of course I'm gonna be bored with it. Every show's a little boring in the first 2 episodes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially something like an anime where you're probably trying to set the groundwork for a long spanning series. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the Queen's Gambit didn't need to be slow in its first episode because like we're going for 7 and we're just gonna speed through it. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
this
Right.
is like, no, we're gonna have a bunch of episodes, so we kind of need to pace ourselves. But then the way the third episode ended pulled all of it together for me. And spoiler, skip ahead 15 seconds if you really don't want to know what happens in episode 3.
Mm-hmm.
Is that you're following one character. He goes into a specific fire company 8. There's multiple fire companies, and you learn that fire company's 8 whole purpose is to investigate the other fire companies because somebody in the other fire companies should know what's causing this problem by now.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, now it's like next level. Now we're not.
Yeah.
Just...
Like now it's just that. Now it's just like monster fighting. It's like mystery shit, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because you get, and now we're good. You don't have to worry about spoilers, but you get like a random like villain that just kind of shows up out of nowhere and you don't give a shit about, and then like all of a sudden you get hit with that and you're like, oh no, everything's starting to come together. You say in episode 3 of a mystery, like nothing came together. It just told you there was a mystery now.
Mm-hmm.
But like now I'm into it. Now I'm gonna watch the full thing. Now I'm ready to go. So yeah, if you didn't catch the spoiler and you decide to watch this anime, make it through the end of episode 3 and then decide
That's
whether
kind of
you
when
want
you
to
know.
watch. Yeah, I think so.
And how long are the episodes? Is it like a half-hour show or like an hour-long show?
I want to say half hour.
Okay.
I could be wrong. It might be like 40 minutes.
Yeah. Because like I know it's like when you people go like, oh, dude, just give it to the end of episode 4, and I'm like, okay, well, like, are we talking about like a half-hour comedy, which is 22 minutes, or are we talking about like an HBO show, which is like 60 minutes, like every week, right?
Right. So the thing is I can't remember if it's a 30-minute or an hour, but it definitely has commercial breaks. So even the hour is 45 minutes, and the half hour is like 22. So it's not quite as rough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I really can't remember off the top of my head, which if anything might be a testament to that it's actually not as boring as I think it is. You know what I mean? Because like you get a boring episode and it's 44 minutes long. About halfway through, you're like, Jesus Christ! All right. You're like checking your watch, like trying to figure out how much time is left.
I'm gonna check my phone. Let's see what's going on in the world. Yeah.
Yeah. So that hasn't happened. So I would definitely recommend it just based on what I've watched so far.
Cool. And that's on, you said?
I'd watch it on Funimation.
Funimation, right.
You can probably watch it on like Crunchyroll, which is another big anime.
Yeah, my brother has that one. Yeah.
Site. Yeah, it's probably there. I don't really know the ins and outs of like why certain things end up on certain places for anime. But yeah, that's where I watch it. All right. So real quick, because you have the small thing you wanted to talk about, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And before you get to it, I've heard you mention the name of this show on Twitter, I feel like multiple times.
Yeah.
And it's funny because there's a meme that I see all the fucking time and I have no idea what it's from. All right?
Okay.
And I like deep down for some reason today, like after you said like, oh, this thing I want to talk about, I was like, is it from that? Because there's a meme that people use of a guy in a fucking hot dog suit all the time.
Yes, yes.
It's from this?
No. That's
No,
I
okay,
think you
what's
should
that?
leave on
Okay.
Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah, I was literally gonna be like, wait, are you talking about the hot dog?
All right. So I need to watch that clearly because, like,
Yeah,
and
that
I've
one's
seen
yeah.
another one of that same guy, not in the hot dogs that he's other got. So clearly that guy's just a dickhead.
Yeah, and it's like the old guy who's like, no new ideas, or like, oh, he admitted. Have you seen that one?
Nah, I haven't.
Oh, it's like an old guy. He's got like a mustache, and he's like on a table, and you might have seen that one. I'm trying to think of another one. That you
I'm
might
not
have
sure
seen.
about that one.
Yeah, but yeah, that show's good too. That one's a little. I'll talk about it in a little bit. Well, I guess I can mention it right now. It's called "I Think You Should Leave" with Tim Robinson. It's on Netflix, and it's sort of like the Eric Andre show, which is like these skits
Oh,
go on,
okay.
but it's like just bizarre, like weirdo land ones.
Okay.
It's so surreal that you're like your brain tries to make sense of the story, but then it keeps turning and turning and turning. And you're like, what the fuck am I watching?
Yeah. All right. You sent a clip to the a group chat of maybe it wasn't you. It was it was a bunch of guys that are famous. I know them. I recognize all their faces. They're in a hospital with a kid that's a knife in his chest.
Oh,
Like,
that's Children's Hospital.
right. So I've never seen that at all. And so
Mm.
like I got that clip and I was like the whole time I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like
Yeah, it's like
it's that
like
same
that,
level of like
but
confusion, just like what the fuck?
but I think you should leave is maybe like a little bit more surreal or something.
Okay,
Like,
yeah.
yeah. But this one, it's sort of that same vein of like just weird.
It's just
humor.
more outlandish shit just keeps
Yeah.
getting stacked on top of it.
Yes,
Like-
yes.
Okay. All right. So
Um,
that's not what you're wanting to talk about, though. What's the show that you
No.
were wanting to talk about?
So I got this notification this week on Facebook, where around this time last year I posted something like, the last season of You're the Worst. It's called You're the Worst. It's on Hulu, or it was originally on FX. Now it's on Hulu. I was like, the last season is on Hulu. You have no excuses. Watch the whole series. Go, go, go. And I got the memory thing this week on Facebook, and I was like, you know what? Like, I don't think, we've done almost 30 episodes, and I don't think I mentioned You're the Worst, like, once. And I was like, I gotta fix that, because I literally talked about all of my other favorite shows at least once. Breaking Bad, The Wire, Avatar, even, I think I would say even maybe Rami has snuck into there, but one that I can for sure say is in my top 5 all time is a show called You're the Worst.
Okay.
And I was like, I gotta fix that. I gotta put this out there, just a quick Hall of Fame recommendation for it. And the show is, it's a comedy, but it's basically like a romantic comedy sort of, and it's about these two people. One played by Aya Cash, who was Stormbreaker. What was her name?
Stormfront.
Stormfront. Yes, she was Stormfront in The Boys season 2.
Okay.
And actually, the reason I think I've said before, the reason I watched The Boys at all was because I knew she was going to be in season 2 because I loved her so much from this show.
Okay.
And the guy named I forget the Chris something, but he plays the character named Jimmy. And so basically, what they are is just these two horrible people in LA who meet, have a one night stand, and then they end up falling in love with each other. But they know that they're so terrible that it's never going to work, but they still try to make it work. And so the show is just basically them in their relationship with their friends over the course of 5 seasons. But it's just so funny, and it's so good. And for me, what I loved about it is because they literally say, like in the first episode, they're like, "Oh, well, you're the worst. This is not going to work because we're both fucking terrible." But then what that ends up doing is sort of it adds this sort of suspense under everything. And I told Sydney to get her to watch it. I was like, I always heard the story from what's his name? Alfred Hitchcock? Alfred Hitchcock.
Okay.
And he would talk about the difference between a surprise and suspense. And he said, a surprise is if somebody's eating, you see a couple, having a coffee at a coffee shop, and then all of a sudden their table explodes and they explode and they die. That's surprise.
Right.
But he says suspense is you show the exact same clip, except 10 seconds before you show somebody walking in with a briefcase and put that has a bomb in it, and they put it under the table. So the whole time you're watching the clip, you have this suspense of being like, oh my God, is this when it goes off? Is this when it goes off? Is this when it goes off?
Right.
And I feel like that's the same with this, where like if it was like a normal dating show and they broke up, you'd be like, whoa, that's surprising. That's crazy. I didn't see that coming. But because the whole time they go, well, we're going to break up. It's inevitable because, we're so fucked up. The whole show has this really awesome, or at least I enjoyed it. The suspense of being like, wait, is this the episode where it happens, or like, oh my god, is this what happens, or is this the weekend that they break up, or like, oh my gosh, like, and maybe some people don't like that, but I loved it because of you sort of saw them grow and be together, and sometimes not really change, but then change in big ways. I personally cannot recommend it enough. I have seen the pilot like 6 times because
God.
I always try to show it to people. I'm always like, here, watch the show called You're the Worst. Watch it with me, or I'd be like, hey, hey man, hey guys, over hanging out, let's watch You're the Worst. I promise you'll love it. And so, I think most people who I recommended it to have loved it and they finished it. But if you have not watched it or given it a chance, and you have Hulu or you have FX, whenever you finish whatever show you're watching, watch You're the Worst. All 5 seasons are on Hulu, and I think each season is 10 episodes, and each episode is only, I think, between 22 and 24 minutes. It's like a half
Oh,
hour
okay.
show.
All right, that's a quick one. Yeah, so I have Hulu. That might be on my list whenever I'm
Yeah.
not watching the anime I started.
Yeah, and I would say it's sort of like how you said, if by the end of season 3, or not season, if by the end of episode 3, you're like,
But you just got to get through the first 3 seasons.
the first whole 3 seasons, if you know it, you know it. But yeah, if you get to the end of episode 3 and you sort of go, I like this comedy, or like I like these characters, then you're hooked, I think. Or I feel like, but if you're like, I don't like this at all, like it's not my sort of mood or atmosphere or whatever, then I would say that's sort of what the show is. I don't think
Right.
it sort of changes its footing. It does get better as you grow and know more about the characters.
With still the
And there's
same idea.
Yes, and there's this fantastic episode at the end of episode 2 that sort of just like crushes your heart in the best possible way.
Okay.
But yeah, I definitely recommend it. Can't recommend enough. Like I said, top 5 show for me all time. And also I want to say the finale, the show, like the way it ends is perfect, and it does not betray what you've watched. I know
Oh,
sometimes
okay.
people watch the show and you're like, well, the ending kind of shit the bed, but Game of Thrones. This is not it, dude. This is, or even The Wire. It doesn't quite land as hard as well as seasons 3 or 4.
Right.
This is the fucking consistent all the way through, and the finale just like lands it perfectly.
Gotcha. All right, yeah. So that's what we've been watching, what we've been playing, and
Yep.
a recommendation for what you should pay attention to going forward.
Yep.
But from there, let's talk about the NBA draft.
Yes.
All right, so NBA draft, the number one pick of the NBA draft was Anthony Edwards, and
Yep.
where did he go to school?
Georgia.
Georgia, and he went to the Timberwolves.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right, so there was a there was a little bit of controversy around him right before the NBA draft happened.
Yes.
And it was all self-inflicted. I saw someone post this link, and I legit was like, "You gotta be full of shit. There's no way anybody said this."
Yes.
So do you want to? Would you like to
Yes.
expand upon it?
Yeah. So they were, the classic interviews about stuff, and so it turns out that he's kind of not really super into basketball. Like he said, he's
It's a
like,
terrible fucking thing, bro.
he said, to be honest, I can't watch basketball. I'm still not really into it. I love basketball. Yeah, it's what I do. But he said he's like, he wanted basically to play football. He's like, I can do anything on the field. You can spike the ball, you can dance, you can do all types of disrespectful stuff. Well, in the NBA, you can't do any of that, and you'll get fined. And he said that he considers himself, he's like, I can really rap. Dame Lillard.
No, the
I'm
guy,
rapping
the guy said like Dame, and he said,
oh yeah.
"No, I can really rap like Lil Baby, bro."
So the number one pick, the best amateur player in the world,
Wants to be a football star turned rapper.
turned rapper. NBA basketball is just a hobby, bro.
The fuck? Oh my god. So here's the deal. The chances have to be enormously high that he's just going to be a bust at this point, right? Because here's the deal. Like, I'm not always. I think people can look too much into what is said in an interview, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can go from college to the highest level of the fucking game and just be like, I don't even really like basketball like that. I don't think that's a fucking option, bro.
And maybe it's like one of those things. It's like maybe he is such a fucking basketball prodigy that even in coast mode, he's like, Oh yeah, yeah.
But he's not, because he would have had way more hype coming out of. There would have been no way anybody would have thought about taking James Wiseman if this dude was like that.
yeah. It's like Have you ever? Do you ever watch? There's an old episode of The Simpsons, where Scott Grimes, who is like this one episode character, he sort of comes into Homer's life. And it's like a coworker, and he's like surprised at the luck that Homer has had. He like goes to his house. He's like, "Wait, you live in this house with this beautiful wife?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he's looking at his pictures. He's like, "You made all these famous people?" He's like, "Yeah, and I was also in space. You don't go to space?" And it's sort of this. It's a really weird episode because it sort of breaks the universe for a little bit and goes, "Wait, this guy Homer is like insanely lucky, almost to the point of being like a fictional character, which he is." And it's kind of like this, where he goes, "Wait, Anthony Edwards, you're the number one player in the world?" And he goes, "Yeah, isn't everybody? Like, isn't basketball just something that people can just, be freakishly good at?"
Yeah, I just I don't think he's that. You know what I mean? I think there would like. There's no way anybody would have thought about them taking LaMelo Ball or James Wiseman if he was that much better. So knowing that he's not that much better, and for him to just be like, I can actually rap. Like, shut up, bro. Like, there's no way this is gonna work out. My man is going to bust. He's just gonna fucking just like shatter. And it sucks to just say that about someone, but there's no way, bro.
But the thing is that for me, I feel like NBA number one picks are probably the safest out of any sport. Like, wouldn't you agree? Like, I think I'm looking them up right now, but I feel like other than Anthony Bennett, right, who is like clear bust. Who is the last guy that you would say this guy is like bust? Markelle Fultz maybe, but they fucked up his shot. They fucked him up at the 76ers.
They didn't fuck him up. He fucked up on his own. That's like
he had that weird shot and
that was all him. That wasn't like anything anybody else did at the 76ers. So anyways, Markelle Fultz.
Markelle Fultz.
Andrew Wiggins is a bit of a bust considering what he came in for.
Considering the hype, what he came in, yeah.
Anthony Bennett, definitely a bust.
Greg Oden?
Greg Oden got hurt. That's really out of control. Bargnani was definitely a bust.
Bargnani's probably like the last real bust. Kwame Brown.
Hold on. Bogut was a number one pick?
Yeah, out of Utah. Fun fact, that is the only time in the history of the NCAA or the NBA, the NFL, that one school has had the number one pick in both basketball and football in the same year.
Really? Who did Utah have football-wise in 05?
Yeah, Alex Smith. He was the number one pick as well.
Yeah, now his fucking leg looks like Frankenstein's monster, bro.
Like a Cheeto, like the little small Cheetos.
Oh, fuck. I don't know that I would say they're the safest thing. I think there's definitely, and here's the deal: we're also talking about this draft in particular, where it's like the least safe it's ever been because nobody has any film on anybody. Like, you know what I mean?
Right,
It's a bunch of unknowns.
And I was gonna say, I was like, usually like 2017, you usually know most of the people, even if you don't know them. Like 2017, like I knew like Malik Monk, Fox, all the guys from Kentucky, all the guys from Duke, a couple of guys from Carolina. And this one I was like, after they picked Cole Anthony at 15, or actually after the top 3, I didn't know anybody until Cole Anthony at 15.
Yeah, I knew Killian Hayes because I thought that's who the Knicks were gonna draft.
Oh right.
Yeah, and then
I knew Obi Toppin.
Yeah, Obi Toppin, who I also I don't feel great about. But then I realized I don't think there was anybody the Knicks were going to pick that was going to be like, woo. Like, I think at this point, like, when the Knicks pick someone, I was like, we picked them because they're bad. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm like, the Knicks picked them, so that means it's not going to work out. Like,
I forget who was saying this, but they were like, at this point, like, after pick 7, you sort of aren't shooting in the dark, but you're just kind of picking and hoping for the best, right? Like, if you get a rotation guy, that's awesome. Like, that's fucking cool. A guy who can give you, like 10 minutes, maybe 5 rebounds off the bench. Like, that's awesome. And, the Bucks struck with Giannis, but it could have easily gone the other way, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not like they were like some sort of magic, like, oh, they knew the numbers, they checked everything out. They just kind of saw his film and were like, this kid could work, but he could very possibly be the next fucking Thon Maker, right?
Right.
So, like, I feel like, you sort of pick who you think fits best and just hope for the best.
Yep. What's funny is I was talking to my dad, who's also a Knicks fan, and I was like, I really feel like I would have just preferred to have like a guard, like a good guard who can dribble, you know what I mean, and handle the ball, make plays, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's kind of what RJ Barrett is supposed to be. He's just not.
Exactly.
And then he was like, yeah, the thing is like, because I was like, I kind of felt like we needed a playmaker. You know what I mean? Like a guy who handle ball playmaker. And my dad was like, we kind of need everything. We're not good at anything. Like we could take anybody. I can just build
It's
it
like
out.
those fucking, it's like those graphics or the graphics
Yeah,
where they
it's
go
like
like
needs.
areas of
Team
need.
needs. It's just like
Team
Knicks
needs,
is
and
just
it's
like whatever. Like
point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center, coach.
right. Like small forward, I guess, is the least because it's RJ Barrett, but he's not working out. So it's like fuck it, bro. Like
Have you seen the areas of weakness that they did for Jaleel Okafor?
oh no, is it
Oh, dude, it's so funny. It's like here, give some thoughts about something else, and I'll look this one up just because it always cracks me up. Because he was like what, the number 4 pick or something?
I thought I think he was I don't know why I thought he was higher than that, but maybe not. But either way, that never made sense to me because I was like, my man can't play D on anybody, and he doesn't seem athletic. Yeah, he was third pick. But yeah, also he did have hands bigger than anything I've ever seen in my entire life.
I found it. I found
Okay.
it. Weaknesses: defense, defensive rebounding, shooting stroke, explosiveness.
Jesus Christ! So what are you good at? And to be the third pick and still get hit with that list of weaknesses, Jesus Christ.
Exactly. Like I really do think I think maybe he drops if they don't win the national championship that year.
Yeah.
Like if Grayson Allen doesn't come in and give him that spark, I could easily see him being like 7 or 8. It's just crazy how little things like that sort of change everything because it wasn't him who led the comeback. It was Grayson Allen. They were down by like 6 or 7, and then he comes in, rattles off like 10 by himself, and they're right back in it. And he moves up to the number 3 spot. It's
You know what I think is like a thing that people maybe don't. All right, I'm fucking listen to me, NBA scout. But like, like if you're a big man in the NCAA, right? You have to be significantly more athletic than whoever is guarding you. Like everyone that is guarding you at any time, other than like the number 2 or number 3 team in the nation. You know what I mean? Because they're obviously going to have someone up there too. Like Jaleel Okafor was never more athletic than whoever was guarding him. It was just like, oh, he's got like better footwork and like is just
fucking
stronger. Like is
He's
big.
just big, yeah.
But the thing is,
I mean-
everybody in the NBA is fucking big. Like any
right.
power forward or center is gonna get matched up with you. Is gonna be big. It's like
that.
It's like anytime anyone ever brings up some dumb shit like, oh, I bet Alabama could beat the Miami Dolphins. No, bro.
No.
Every NFL lineman is just going to pick up whatever college child is in front of them and just launch him, bro. Like, even if you have better receivers or a better quarterback, which I could say is possible. It wouldn't surprise me to say, like, oh, this receiver in college is better than the worst receiver or the best receiver on the worst team in the NFL. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I could believe that. Even a quarterback. But it doesn't matter because your quarterback is going to be sprinting for his life when a 350-pound defensive lineman who runs a 4.8 40 is just fucking gunning for you, bro.
Exactly. Dude, those are always so dumb, and I'm just like, shut the fuck up, ESPN. It's just like at this point, it's just to get the tweets going.
No, because there are so many people that legitimately believe it, though. I see all the people in the comments, and I'm like, oh, you're all so stupid.
I just need for one. I just need to happen one time.
I need one time
and
for
just get it
someone.
over
Just,
with.
yeah, exactly. And the fucking 0-16 team, like literally, the lineman just like fucking just like shove, like one arm shove the offensive lineman for Alabama like 5 yards back. Every play is just a fucking sack because the defensive tackle just shoves the center into the quarterback.
It's like it's like playing on rookie on Madden.
Right.
And you were talking about how everybody in college, everybody in the NBA is big. It's like that fucking picture of DeMarcus Cousins and Carl Anthony Towns is trying to post him up.
Yeah,
Have you seen that?
yeah,
And he's just
Carl
like,
Anthony
he's
Towns
just
looks
like
like
bearing
so
down on
upset.
him. Yeah, Carl Anthony, Towns looks so stressed.
DeMarcus Cousins just has his legs planted and is just like straight faced, and fucking Carl Anthony Towns looks like he's putting every bit of muscle in his
so
body.
stressed.
Yo, Carl Anthony Towns looks like Spider-Man trying to hold back the fucking train, bro. And DeMarcus Cousins is just straight faced. God, all right. I'm gonna have to post that picture when this episode drops, bro. It kills
God,
me
it's
every
so funny.
fucking time.
And so then, but back to the draft. So why Anthony Towns or not Anthony Towns? Anthony Edwards was taken first. Second was James Wiseman out of Memphis. Although he only played 3 games, so we didn't really get to see him.
Right,
Sort of.
but at least with him, you can be like, for 3 games, I saw he was extremely athletic. He had a decent handle, and he's 7'2" with a 7'8" wingspan or whatever the fuck it is. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I think it's like he might be 7'1" with like a 7'6" wingspan. Either way, if you're that and athletic, curtains. You know what I mean? Like,
you sort of said, yeah.
At the worst, I feel like he's gonna be Andre Drummond. You know what I mean? He's big, athletic,
exactly.
and he can set a pick and he can roll to the rim. You know what I mean? And he can jump up for a rebound. You know, like Jalen Rose says, if you're 7 foot tall and you could walk and chew bubblegum at the same time, there's a spot for you in the NBA. So he's going to be in the NBA for a while. I think he could be very good. I get why the Timberwolves didn't take him, because they have Towns. So like, what the fuck are you gonna do with him in Towns? Unless you're just trying to be the Pistons, who for some reason in the offseason picked up like 5 centers.
Yes.
What the fuck are you doing? And nobody, I mean, I guess if people said anything, but they did not get roasted nearly as bad as the fucking Knicks for picking up like 3 power forwards last year. But I digress. So yeah, James Wiseman is at 2, Golden State. I feel like that's a perfect pick. I mean, it doesn't really matter anymore because Klay Thompson's out.
I was I would love to see like him down there with Clay. Like if they all commit to Clay, he passes it to Steph, and they commit to him, he passes it down to the post, and
exactly. Like, that's the thing, is that it spreads the floor so much when they're both on the floor at the same time. So I mean, he was going to be rolling to the rim wide open, and especially if Draymond's your other guy, because if Draymond sets the screen, he's good enough to make that pocket pass where if he's the one rolling to the basket, if Green's rolling to the basket and then Wiseman's cutting baseline, he can just dish it to him, and it's still just an easy dunk. I feel like it would have been perfect.
God damn it!
But it's still, I still think it might turn out fine. They're not going to be contenders, but I think it's still a good spot for him.
It's just that picture of Will Smith with pain, with the two that says pain behind it. That's...
Or it's the picture of fucking Wolverine with the little picture frame.
Oh yeah, the picture frame. Yeah, and it's just like the Splash Bros and what's his name, Wiseman's in the corner.
Yeah.
Damn it. Well, at least, hopefully he'll be okay, and hopefully Clay's Achilles will, who knows how he'll come back, but science is pretty much miracles. It does miracles these days. So who knows? And then
spray and be back soon.
Yeah, but it still clicks from time to time, but it's okay. And then number 3, they picked Charlotte Hornets picked LaMelo Ball.
Right, which is the worst spot for that man ever. Like,
see, I like it for the team because they finally get like a flashy name, right? They get, I know he doesn't shoot as well as Trae Young, but at least they have like a guy who can put butts in seats and hopefully jumpstart an offense. Even if, I say that as Atlanta probably had like the worst record.
But also, you say that, but then like, all right, he's a flashy name. Well, what if my man just comes out there and just starts launching shit from half court, throwing up fucking bricks? You know what I mean? Like, because that's kind of what he did in fucking Australia. You know what I mean? Like, he's just like pulling up from way deep, throwing up bricks, and everyone in the stands is just like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like when, as a Knicks fan, like when Carmelo Anthony was kind of down the hill, which apparently we're thinking about. There's rumors that we're going to sign Carmelo Anthony again. And I'm like, please stop. What are we doing? Like, why would you sign Carmelo Anthony? But anyways, like the thing is that's like the most demoralizing thing is when you have a guy who you know is going to shoot every time, but then he's not like Carmelo at his peak. You know what I mean? Or like
Right.
Kobe at his peak, where it's like you know he's going to shoot every time, but fuck it, he's still going to make some. Like I
Mm,
don't feel that same way about Lamelo Ball. Lamelo Ball starts
right.
pulling up out of nowhere and double teams just launching him, and you're like,
Just,
fucking curtains on this, bro.
I
I'm
mean, I
leaving.
guess, yeah. Yeah, and like it just sucks because he didn't get to go to college. I didn't really get to see him much. I mean, I see the little highlights and stuff from him playing against bums in Australia, but
Right.
yeah,
Right, but he
but
didn't even look great against the bums in Australia.
I think his shooting.
It's
Uh,
better than Lonzo's, but that's not saying much.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I mean, it's it's weird that Lonzo went earlier,
Yeah.
but I feel like LaMelo's a better player. Would you say, or a better prospect at least?
Yeah, I do think LaMelo is a better prospect. That is 100% true. I just feel like the reason Lonzo went earlier was just more of a fit type deal.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, they could have had Jason Tatum
yeah, that's true.
with Braun.
Yeah,
Oh well.
that's true. But um, yeah, that'd have been much better.
Yeah.
I was gonna try and come up with something. I was like, nah, actually, never mind. Yeah, I was gonna say, well, they got Anthony Davis, but they definitely got Anthony Davis if they had traded away Jason Tatum. It just might have hurt more when Jason Tatum was great, and you had Anthony Davis.
Yeah,
But
they would have fucking let go of Kuzma.
yeah,
They would have like everybody. They would have just kept LeBron, Tatum, and cleaned house.
yeah. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
I do think
Do
LaMelo
you-
Ball is a better prospect, though. I just don't know. The thing is, I think LaMelo Ball could be a better basketball player, but the reason why I think
Yeah.
Charlotte is a terrible fit is I don't think there's anyone to keep him in check. You know what I mean? Like I've seen videos of God. What was the one they were roasting the shit out of him for? It was when he was much younger. But I feel like I've seen clips. It's like he scored the
Is it
fucking
the?
100, and it was like he wasn't even fucking playing D. Like he was just cherry picking at the end of the
Was it when
basket.
he? Probably when he was at Chino Hills, and it was that vine where he like pointed at like the half court line, and he had the big hair, and
Yeah,
he's just like, oh, and he just shot it.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's not like the last time I saw that like he went viral for a play or something.
Right, but like even still, like it's just like I haven't been watching all the fucking Australian games, but I've seen people on ESPN talk about it, and it seems like he still has a tendency to just start throwing shots up out of nowhere, and like other teammates are like, Jesus Christ, like you know what I mean? And so I think if he went somewhere like if he went to Golden State, it's not as good a fit as Wiseman, but if he went to Golden State,
Mhm.
like I think Steph and Steve Kerr would reel him in. You know what I mean?
Right.
And,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
if he went to, I don't know who had the number 4 pick, but like Charlotte doesn't.
Chicago.
Chicago, Chicago doesn't really have anybody either that I can think of off the top of my head. They might have like a big man or something. But either way, I just Charlotte. I don't feel like there's anybody. Kemba's gone, so I mean, who the fuck?
Yeah.
Who's gonna say something to him?
Great,
Fucking Michael Kidd
Howard.
Gilchrist?
No. What's his name? The guy they just got.
Who did they get?
Oh my gosh.
Might have missed it. I haven't been keeping.
Gordon Hayward.
Oh, Gordon Hayward.
Yeah.
Bro.
They got Gordon Hayward.
If you're hold on, bro. If I'm LaMelo Ball, I ain't letting Gordon Hayward tell me shit. Well, I'm gonna be like every time he says something, I'll be like, "This goofy motherfucker!" Like,
you know that they say he's like a big Republican or whatever.
is he? I'm not surprised, but that lines up.
I think so. And they were like, "Do you think? Did anybody tell him that Charlotte isn't Charlottesville?"
Oh no! Oh fuck! That's why. Yeah.
Yeah. But do you have any thoughts about the rest of the draft? I mean, other than Obi Toppin going to the Knicks, that's cool. I think we touched on that one. Personally, me as a Carolina fan, I'm glad that Cole Anthony went 15. I was worried he was gonna drop to like the 20s because I saw a few mock drafts that had him going down that far, and I was like, "Fuck!" Like that does not look good. Because the dude, when he was coming in, it was like, "Oh, he's gonna be like a top 5 pick, regardless, right?"
Yeah.
And then for him to drop 10 spots, it's like, "Oh, it doesn't look good." A year after Nasir Little also came in with high hype like that, and he also dropped. I was like, "Oh." But of course, people talk about that, but they don't talk about Kobe White coming in as, a low 5
Right.
and going 7, or Cam Jordan Cam Johnson coming in as a transfer and going 11. But whatever.
Right. The
But
thing is like fucking. And Cole Anthony did not do himself any favors throughout the season that he played at Carolina.
no, and the team was dog shit, dude. And I just, yeah, I mean, and then I just don't think that his style of play doesn't fit as well as maybe other players who've come and gone.
Right.
But I'm so glad. I mean, he just put up numbers like crazy, and I'm glad he went 15. Now in terms of a fit, I really have no idea because I know nothing about the Magic.
I
But
don't think anybody does. I don't think people that are Magic fans know anything about the Magic.
I know they had Aaron Gordon. Is he still there?
Maybe.
I don't know. Is he?
It's worth a Google. Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon is a professional basketball player for the Orlando Magic.
Okay, he's still there. Okay, so he's there. I know Mo Bamba's there.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's it. That's all I know. That's my extent of knowledge about the Magic.
Yeah, it's the team doesn't look great. Yeah. So he's there, which means I'm sure he'll get plenty of touches. I don't think he's going to be hunting for minutes. I think they're gonna be giving as many as he wants.
Good, giving him Tom Thibodeau numbers.
Right, let him run his fucking
Tom Thibodeau
knees
minutes
into the ground. Didn't he already have knee problems at North Carolina, or was that a different injury?
No, he got hurt. He hurt his knee and he had surgery on it.
Awesome.
And so he came back from that for some reason, but he says he's healthy, and so we'll see.
All right, yeah. So the last thing we wanted to talk about this episode was, as I said, this is going to be coming out. Should be, I think I looked and it was December 4th.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk about our favorite Christmas movies.
Yep.
And so, do you want me to start, or would you rather start?
I can start just because we both have the same last one, but I can start and sort of give my thoughts on Christmas movies. Before we run too long, I can give my thoughts and sort of why I picked these. So for me, Christmas movies, like, I think people are sometimes too strict to being like, oh, that movie isn't a Christmas movie because it's not about the holidays. It's not like a Christmas Story. It's not about, opening presents on Christmas morning. So for me, a Christmas movie can be sort of whatever people want it to, within a certain extent, right? Like, you can't be like, Spider-Man's a Christmas movie, right?
Right.
But Spider-Man 2002 can be a Thanksgiving movie because there's a Thanksgiving scene, right?
Right.
So I feel like Goodfellas, there's a scene where they all are at a bar on Christmas, during Christmas time. And it's like a very famous scene, and it's not that long, but I feel like you could say, this is my Christmas movie because I feel good, and it makes me feel good when I watch it during Christmas time because of this scene.
I think whatever is a Christmas movie is whatever for that person makes it feel like a Christmas movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like
I don't think I would ever say Goodfellas is a Christmas movie, but if for some reason someone was like, nah, it makes me think about Christmas. It's like, well, it's a Christmas movie.
The Iron Giant. I think there's like scenes that there's like snow, right? There's like I think.
I don't remember. All I can say is that you're definitely wrong about this being a possible Christmas movie, because the only thing I watched this when I was super young, and I've never watched it again because the only thing I remember about it is just being profoundly sad. I feel like, again, haven't watched it since. I literally don't remember anything about the movie. I just remember thinking, this is the saddest shit I've ever seen in my life. and I think that's true. So.
And I'm trying to think. No, because he does like a can. So I think it takes place during the summer. But I remember there being snow. Maybe I misremembered. No, there is snow because he lands, and then now that I'm thinking about it, that movie's weather is all fucked up because he goes to a lake. He's like jumping into a lake, and then I think in the finale, they're like running through snow, and he like lands in snow. So now that I think about it. Yeah. Okay.
I see that now. I looked up Iron Giant Snow, bro. He's like neck deep in snow.
It's like deep in snow, but then there's like a scene where he does, because the kid does a cannonball, and then the Iron Giant does one, and there's like a big tidal wave.
Oh, okay.
From it, and I'm like, wait, but anyway, but yeah. So anyway, Christmas movies, whatever you want. So for me, mine do take place during Christmas. But if, you go, this is my Christmas movie, and somebody goes, that's not a Christmas movie, that's the Grinch's one. Well, don't listen to them.
You tell them to turn that sumbitch sideways and shove it straight up their candy. Yeah.
Exactly. So my first one is a movie called Kiss Kiss Bang Bang from 2005, starring Val Kilmer and Robert Downey Jr. and it's written and directed by Shane Black, and he wrote the Lethal Weapon movies. He did The Nice Guys. I forget what else he did. He did a Lethal. I think he wrote Predator, the first Predator,
Okay.
and he's in the first Predator for a little bit. And then he does. He had a bunch of uh, uh, sort of cop comedy, buddy comedies in the '90s, like Kiss Bang Bang. The Long Kiss Goodnight with Gina Davis and Samuel Jackson. The Last Boy Scout. Have you ever heard of that one with Bruce Willis?
I have heard of it, but I've never seen it.
One of the Wayans brothers, he did that one. And so basically, this one is about Robert Downey Jr. So this is when he like got off the drugs, got clean, and this is, I think, his first movie, sort of starring role after all of that. And I personally believe Jon Favreau watched this movie and cast him as Iron Man because of it, or at least in part of it. So we have this movie to thank for Iron Man.
Okay.
And the movie is about takes place during Christmas time, and he plays an actor who stumbles into an audition in New York. He's like a small time crook, but he auditions for a movie, and they send him out to L.A. and he sort of gets wrapped up in this sort of like Hardy Bros, like Nancy Drew, like type mystery where it's like two stories that you think are separate, and then at the end you realize that they're the same story. And so it's really good, and it's like a Halloween. Or not Halloween. It's Christmas time, but it's not about Christmas. But it takes place in, like, you see like people dressed up as Santas and like elves and stuff. But it's in LA, so there's no snow, there's no cold weather. But the dialogue is fantastic, and any time that him and Val Kilmer have a scene together is just so fucking good.
Yeah.
Like, to give you an example of the sort of dialogue that you get, they have this guy. This guy tries to kidnap them, but they get the gun from him. And the guy, Robert Downey Jr., is trying to intimidate him. And he goes, "Oh yeah, you're not gonna help us? Picture a bullet in your head." And he goes, "What? I can't do that. Besides, it's fucking vague. What are you talking about?" He's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, are you telling to have a picture of a bullet in my head, or do you picture that physical bullet in my head?" And he goes, "Shut up!" Like, it's like that kind of like weird, like sort of quirky, like really clever dialogue.
Yeah, I've never seen that movie or heard of it. I just happened to look it up because you had it on your list. But I like I said, I just never heard of it. It definitely. Go ahead.
I think 90% of just people haven't heard of it or seen it. I watched it because it was on, I think it was like on TNT years ago. And I think somebody had mentioned it about it being good like once, and I watched it and I was like, this is really good. Like, I really, really like the dialogue's great. The mystery is sort of confusing on purpose, sort of. The first time I watched it, I was like, I have no idea what the fuck this mystery is about. I love the ride. Like, this ride is a lot of fun, and I love the characters, but I have no idea what the story is. And I rewatched it in theaters last year because the Alamo, the local Raleigh theater, they reshowed it, and I still sort of got the story just because I'd seen it a couple times, but it was literally like, shit. Like, if I was watching this for the first time, I would have no fucking idea what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's got an 86% on Rotten Tomatoes, so that's pretty solid. So I may have to give that a watch at some point this Christmas season. So my next one, are you wanting to go through these like back and forth?
Yeah, back and forth. Yeah, so go.
Okay. Okay. So my next one my first one is going to be Elf, which is a very traditional Christmas movie, but it's one of my favorites. It's legitimately funny. Like, I love Will Ferrell movies in general. This one's great. You know what I mean? I just it doesn't have any pitfalls for me. Like, there's no part of this movie where I'm like, this part sucks though. You know what I mean? Like, it's just solid all the way through. It is a Christmas movie. The other thing is I take that back. I'm gonna leave that little bit for later. But like, I just feel like Christmas movies are kind of a particular, like, kind of worn out genre, I guess. Maybe not worn out, but like, I feel like it's very easy for a Christmas movie to just be like, go through the motions and just end up as a super average, like, you know what I mean, just a walk down the same lane every other movie does. But this one feels pretty unique, and I just really enjoy it.
Yeah, I think this, I like Elf. I don't think I ever I never really like loved it, but I do enjoy it, and I definitely think this is one of those movies where like the central performance is so good that you could say he could have been nominated for an Oscar. I think, right? Because
Right.
I think it's so unique, and I think he's so good in this role that you could easily make a case for him. I'm trying to think of another comedic role that's like this, where you're like, dude, this is such like just like this is like who's the actress that's Mary Poppins?
Fuck, I can't remember now.
Julie Andrews.
Right, right,
Yes,
right.
so she won the Oscar for Mary Poppins, but you go, yes, that makes sense because it's such a like iconic role that you go, yes, of course. And I feel like this is Will Ferrell. Like I think
Right.
he is so good in this that you could have easily said he was nominated for Best Actor for it. Like he is like Jack Sparrow. He was nominated for an Oscar, but it's like the same thing. It's like such a unique, committed, fucking
Right.
100% rock solid role that I think you should have nominated. Of course, they were never going to
Right.
ever, but you could easily make a case.
If it had
you can
happened,
make a
you
case
wouldn't be
for it.
like, no way.
Yeah, exactly. You could be like, wow, that's so cool. Like, that's so cool that they actually recognized the performance that was fantastic, that didn't have to be a fucking biopic or, a Holocaust movie or a, slavery movie.
Right. And as we talked about, I think either a week or maybe 2 weeks ago,
Mhm.
this is apparently, when I looked it up, it said
Jon
Favreau's
Favreau, yeah.
second time directing. So this is the second
Yeah.
movie he directed.
And I think we'll save it for a little bit, but I think your next pick, I think, also falls into that such a fucking good performance
Mm-hmm.
that they were never going to award,
Right.
but I think you could go if it had happened and you went, oh, he was nominated for this, you go, oh, okay. Oh,
You'd have been like, wow, that's a surprise that they actually did that, but it's
Yeah.
not because it's unwarranted.
exactly. Borat in the first Borat. I think that's another one that I think if you were like, he was nominated for an Oscar for Best Actor because of his performance, you go, definitely committed. He's definitely committed for that one. Right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So my next one is a movie called Just Friends.
Okay.
Now this is the one I think out of the three that I have two that I think one that's a classic, one that's pretty great, and this is the one that I think is you could make a case that it's bad. You could easily
Okay.
say that movie sucks, dude, and I could be like, I mean, okay, yes, maybe. But so, have you heard of it? Do you know
I
what
have
it is?
not.
So it's a movie from 2005, starring Ryan Reynolds, and he plays a guy who, he was fat in high school, and then he had this girl who it's Ryan Reynolds in a fucking fat suit. If you look up the cover, it's him in a
I'm
fat
looking
suit.
at it right now.
And so he's in high school. In the first scene, he like has this girl who's like his best friend, and he confesses his love toward her, and she goes like, "But we're like friends," and he goes, "Yeah, of course." And then he leaves town, goes to Hollywood, loses the weight, gets famous, gets hot, and then through like a weird circumstance, he comes home that he hasn't been home in 5 years, for the holidays. Because I'll explain why in a little bit, and so he comes home and it's like him trying to get with that girl, and falling in love with her, but then like it's sort of like being like, well, are we just friends or are we like more like, could we make this work, that kind of stuff. But it's just dumb humor. It's just like really dumb.
Yeah.
But I will say it features a fucking fantastic, hilarious comedic performance from Anna Faris. And so the reason that he is in the small town is because Anna Faris plays this sort of like vapid mid 2000s pop star that does like the shitty pop songs.
Right.
And she's like in love with him, and he plays like a music recorder guy, and he is tasked with taking her to Paris, but their plane breaks down on the way and they have to stop by his hometown in New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
And so he has to babysit her while he tries to get back with his girlfriend person.
Okay.
And but she's so funny, dude. She is fucking hilarious. And they go to a bar, just to give you an example. They go to a bar, and he's talking to Anna Faris, who works there as a not Anna Faris, Amy Smart. She's the girl, and she's, as a bartender. And he's like, hey, like, let's get together sometime. And then Anna Faris comes up, and she's like, Chris, we gotta get out of here. Everybody's staring at me, and like literally nobody's looking, nobody's paying attention to her. It's just, and then just the weird shit that she does throughout the movie is so good. And I watched it, when it first came out, and I loved it. And I try to watch it, every Christmas, because it is, it takes place on Christmas. It is a Christmas movie.
Right.
But you could very easily say that movie sucks, dude. That movie's terrible. And I could be like, I think you're right. I think
Like,
it is terrible.
like if you said like I like Just Friends as a Christmas movie. Somebody's like that shit's awful, and you'd be like, yeah.
Yeah, I know, but
Like I don't even think
it's
you'd
funny.
argue it. Like you wouldn't even like hesitate. You'd just be like, yep. Like, it's
I'd
terrible.
be
Like yes,
it is terrible. You're right. It is, but it's a Christmas movie, and you know.
Yeah. So
I
so
mean,
that's-
I think I would say watch it if you want. If you have nothing else to do,
definitely don't like prioritize it over anything else.
anything
right?
that I've talked about today. No. I'd say in terms of movies, definitely watch Kiss Kiss Bang Bang because it's fantastic. Definitely watch Ted Lasso. You're the worst. Yes.
Yes.
Just Friends.
Watch Elf. Watch that.
Watch Elf. Yes, definitely watch Elf. Watch the next 3 that we're gonna talk about. Yes. Maybe.
But then if you're
catch
really
Just
running
Friends.
out of time,
like if it's
if
on
you
Comedy
happen to
Central
find yourself on an airplane in the middle of a pandemic,
yeah, like if you were flipping through Comedy Central and you see Just Friends and it's just starting, give it a chance if you want, but you don't have to.
yeah, but don't watch this and then be disappointed that I told you to watch this. So
Exactly, yeah. But I love it. I just love it so much.
Yeah.
But don't watch it, maybe if you don't want.
All right, so that was like a guilty pleasure for you then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, so my next Christmas movie is Bad Santa, which has just Billy Bob Thornton be just like the biggest scumbag. Like,
Just
I
the
love
biggest piece of shit.
I love it so much. I love every interaction with him and the kid. Like, I love all of it, bro. Like,
What is his name? Theodore or Thaddeus?
something like that.
Thurman.
God, it's just like every interaction, the kid's just fucking like sitting there, like blank face, just staring at him. He's like, "Go the fuck on somewhere."
Yeah.
Oh God, dude, I love it so much. Bernie Mac has a little. He's in there, and he's pretty great in it. Everyone in it, basically everyone in it is great. Even the kid that doesn't really do much, but he's still there. He just plays it perfectly. I couldn't think of his name, and you know why? You had his name, but even when you look at the credits, it just says the kid. So clearly,
You know who executive produced this movie?
who?
The Coen brothers, like the guys that made like No
What?
Country for Old Men and shit. Yes.
God, that's amazing. But yeah, the movie's great. Definitely, it's just like a good time. It is really all it is.
And I think the ending where they're shooting the shit out of him and he has the toy for the kid, like I think that, like it's so I think the ending is so good.
Yeah, it is. Everything about it's great. It's been a while since I've watched it, but it's definitely up there with just like a not traditional Christmas movie, but it's definitely still very good.
Yeah.
Definitely not one to watch it with your kids.
Nope.
But yeah, so that's mine, and then our last one is a shared last one.
Yes.
And as we brought up with what is considered a Christmas movie, I feel like that was some foreshadowing because everyone would know which one we're talking about, which is Die Hard.
Yeah. So it is Die Hard, and this is I watch this one every year. I make a point to it. I make an effort to it. I just have to watch it every year. Not because I really need to. I just it's like sort of puts you in the mood for it, and it's just like it is like I think up like when I say Back to the Future and other ones, like it is like a perfect movie.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. Everything, the dialogue's great. Bruce Willis was such a great pick, and apparently at the time a very surprising pick. Like it wasn't like an obvious answer that Bruce Willis was going to be an action star.
Yeah.
Hey, boy.
Hey, sorry, man. Could you repeat the last 30 seconds? Sorry, I was trying to take care of something real quick.
Yeah.
You said Bruce Willis.
Yeah. So Bruce Willis is great in it, and that wasn't like a sure thing. Like, of course, Bruce Willis is an action star. Apparently, at the time,
Yeah.
like at the time, that was like people were like Bruce Willis, and like it just fucking worked.
Yeah.
And Alan Rickman is fucking great.
I think that was his first movie role ever. I think we mentioned that before on here.
What for? Bruce Willis?
No, for Alan Rickman. Yeah.
Yeah, he's fucking great in it. He's terrific as that villain. Yeah, everything about it's great. The dialogue's perfect. And it's just Christmassy enough. Yeah.
Do you remember when was the last time you watched it, do you think?
It hadn't been too long. Maybe a couple years.
Okay, because I was gonna say, I have a bunch of like little things that I sort of pick up on every year that I love. That like little, I just go like, fuck yeah, like, this movie rocks. And like one of them is like, especially the last few years when I've watched them with people who had never seen it before. So 2 years ago I watched it with my roommate Ryan, or who was my roommate at the time, and then last year I watched it with Sydney, my girlfriend, for the first time. Both of those were their first time watching it. And there's this scene early on where you see the terrorists' cars, Alan Rickman, you see them sort of coming up the highway, and they turn into the tower. And then there's this like tracking shot like in the car where like the car is driving, and right next to it there's this like how can I say, like a U-Haul truck, a box truck. And then the box truck takes the ramp downward, and it does this really cool thing where it looks like a shark, and then it just goes like under the water, but it's like under the parking deck, and it looks so cool. And every time that happens, I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, that shit's awesome. Like, hell yeah, dude. Like, it looks so cool. And it sort of goes this thing of, it looks like, these guys are going under to start fucking with shit. So that's one thing. The second thing is when he's running from them and he circles back around to a place he'd been before, and there's like a calendar of a naked girl. Do you remember that? And he pops out and he sees that it's the place he's been, and he goes, "Oh, girl," and he like does like a little tap.
Yeah.
And he like taps the wall. Yeah. Fucking love that every time. Sorry, go ahead.
It's just, it is like the perfect amount of, they really balance perfectly, like just getting nice little action set pieces and like making a cohesive deal of it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like there's the whole thing with the glass and he doesn't have his shoes on. Like
that
whole fucking section is super awesome.
It tight like a drum, dude. Like
exactly.
Instead of how I was talking about what was the movie? Get Out. Because this one early on, he meets the guy and he's like, make fish with your toes. And you think, oh, it's just like, small talk, but it builds into why he doesn't have his shoes on later, right?
Right.
And then like, she's pissed at him. And so she fucking flips down the picture of their family portrait. And then that's how Hans doesn't see his picture there until the end, right?
Right.
So it's just like a bunch of little things like that early on you go, oh, that doesn't matter. But it
all comes back around.
Exactly. And then the scene with Holly, like there's only like before the end, there's only one scene with them together, and it lasts maybe 3 minutes, 4, but it's so good because then that has to carry the whole thing, and it does.
Right.
But you literally get one scene of them together.
Yeah, it's fucking perfect. Everything about it, like you said, it's just tight. It's like nailed down exactly. God, who directed that?
It's John McTiernan, and he was a big action director in the 80s. He did Predator as well, and then he did The Hunt for Red October, which I've never seen, but I've heard is great.
I've also never seen it.
Yeah, and then the cinematographer for this one, his name is Jean Debont, and he went on to become a director himself, and he directed Speed and Twister.
Okay, so yeah, everything about this is just fucking chef's kiss.
Yeah, the whole thing. Oh, when they get into the argument and he realizes he fucked up and he goes, "God damn it, Johnny!" Like hits his head on the side of the door. Yeah. When the bad guys break into the vault and that one guy's looking at all the bonds and he sees a bronze statue and he flicks the titty.
Yeah.
Right when he walks by, but so many little things that are forever burned into my brain for this movie that every time I watch them, I'm like, "Fuck yeah, dude, this shit is awesome."
Yeah, and God, what's the guy's name? The cop down on the street.
Winslow. His name's not Winslow, but it is Winslow. But it's he calls him Pal or Al.
Yeah, he's fucking perfect in that role. Like everything's just great. Like you also get the other it also traps John because you have the actual villains, and then you have I think it's like the federal agents that come in, and then like now they're like a second villain.
Agent Johnson and Johnson.
Yeah, and
not related.
Oh God, everything is just pinpoint about that, and it takes place in Christmas time. The only reason this all works is because it's Christmas time, because that's the reason everyone's there. Like it's all perfect.
And then, but yeah, because then the score, the score is it's like this sort of fusion of like Christmas music, like "Ode to Joy," but it does like this awesome mix of like the classical stuff, and then it's so cool.
Yeah. So that's my number one Christmas movie.
Yeah.
And
It
go ahead.
oh and it just like flies by. It's like I think it's like 2 hours and 10.
Yeah, I had no
I
idea
love,
it was that long until like recently. I remember recently seeing it was that long. I was like, Jesus Christ, because it goes by so quick every single time.
Another thing, when he jumps off the side of the building, right, and then he has to shoot his way in, and he's tied to the fire hose thing, right? And he like jumps in, and he comes out of the water in the lobby, and he's got a gun. And he's like, oh shit, and then the elevator dings, and then it explodes for no reason. Love it. Like I was like, why did that happen? Like every time I watch it, it goes ding, and it just like explodes. And I remember telling Sydney last year, I was like, why did that happen? Like I love that. I love that it doesn't go, oh, there was a bomb in it. It just like happens.
Right. Yeah. Nah. Everything's just perfect. And
What's his name? Coming into the lobby, and he's like, so Worthy patches it. He passes it to Kareem, back to Magic, back to Worthy, 2 points.
and the fucking dude at the bottom that's clearly trying to get with Bruce Willis's ex-wife, just a fucking scumbag, just like an ultimate sleazeball coward.
Oh
weasel,
yeah,
dude. Like it's just fucking, it's all perfect.
Ellis,
Yeah.
he gives him the thumbs up, and he's all coked out.
Oh God, yeah. So that one's
Another
one-
thing.
ahead.
Fucking Alan Rickman's English or American accent. No, God, you're one of them. Oh, oh, please, don't kill me, please.
Oh God, yeah, it's perfect. That even scene is specifically played super well. But yeah, super solid, all the way through, and it's again like I mentioned with Elf being like the most traditional, but still not like the worn down well worn trail of what a Christmas movie is. Like that's why I prefer these movies. You know what I mean? That's why I prefer Elf, Bad Santa, and Die Hard as my Christmas movies. And because this is my hot take. All right, ready? You know how I said Star Wars was trash? Bro, A Christmas Story sucks, bro. That movie is the slowest, most boring shit I've ever seen in my life. Everyone loves it. They have fucking 24-hour fucking marathons on Christmas Day every fucking year on like TBS, bro. It's fucking terrible.
I don't think I've ever even seen it.
Good. It's the worst. It's the slowest, most boring shit ever, bro. I will never in my life choose to watch that. If my sons find a way to ever watch that movie and they're like, it's my favorite Christmas movie, we're canceling Christmas. I'm putting coal in all of their beds and we're canceling Christmas.
You're gonna sit them out in the chair like Clockwork Orange with the eyelid things and be like, this is bad Elf. Look how he fucks that lady in the dressing room. Watch it.
And then watch Bruce Willis yell yippee-ki-yay as he shoots someone.
What did he say? The quarterback is toast. What did he say?
Oh God, bro, yeah. No, if anyone ever tells me like, "You'll shoot your eye out, kid," be like, "I will legitimately take a gun and shoot you square in the eye." I can't. So that's my Christmas movie hot take. That movie's actual flaming hot garbage, and I will stand by that forever.
What do you feel about The Grinch, the Jim Carrey one? What do you think about that one?
I don't know. I don't know what to think of it. I watched it when I was young, so like it seemed okay. And
yeah,
like,
same.
But I guess I would give it a better rating than Christmas Story.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. I'm like, I guess it's okay. If you get a chance to watch it or rewatch it or watch a scene from it this holiday season or this Christmas season, notice how the entire movie is filmed in Dutch angles. It's like, you know what I mean? Like
What
Dutch
is a
angles,
Dutch
you know,
angle?
when it's like off kilter. It's like sideways. It's like
Right, yeah.
Like it's not 45 degrees. Like it's not directly 45-degree angle. It's like
Right.
maybe like 30 or 20. Watch it and be like, this whole fucking thing is filmed in Dutch angles. Why? What is the point of it? What is Ron Howard thinking? Was he thinking he was making a Dutch movie? Like what is going on here?
I feel like it's just like it gives like the impression of just like like things
bizarre,
are
like,
crazy.
wonky.
Yeah, exactly. And you couldn't lean into that more with anybody other than Jim Carrey, so I just fucking rolled with it. That's the only thing I can come up with. But I do remember that because like anytime any of the visuals I can remember of that movie are like him standing there and like you said, like a 30-degree angle, like he's like looking at the camera all fucking weird.
And he's like, duh, duh, and he's like, oh god, or doing his whatever, or late 2000s shtick.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what the fuck was going on with that movie, but in my head I'm like, it's not bad. But yeah, so those are our Christmas movies, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So
yep.
We'll call that the episode. If you want to catch me on social media, you can catch me at Twitter and Instagram at TMoneyBags.
And I'm at EverCastro92 on Instagram.
All right, and if you want to catch the podcast directly, you can catch us at Diff Animals Pod on Instagram and Twitter, or you can email us directly at differentanimalspodcast@gmail.com. So that's the episode. Stay safe, stay entertained, and we will catch you guys next week.
See you guys. Peace.
See you.
All right. What on?